Okay, so if you look at the Moving Man simulation, the first thing that it tells you to do is you need to go up to the top, you need to click on Charts. So what Charts does is it pulls up the different graphs that we've been creating. So we've got a position versus time graph, we've got a velocity versus time graph, we have an acceleration versus time graph. Now if you look at your sheet, look at your Moving Man activities sheet, and if we go down to number 1, it says duplicate this position graph. So you'll see that I've got a position graph right here, and I want to manipulate my Moving Man so that I see this position graph. So if we look at the position graph, we have to kind of analyze it first. We see that the position starts at 0. We see that our velocity is going to be uphill, so it's going to be positive velocity. And then we also see that the velocity is going to be increasing. So if we think about how the slope of this line changes, the slope is getting steeper as time goes along. So it's going to be increasing velocity. Now, when we think back to our acceleration page we just did, we know that increasing velocity is equal to positive acceleration. So I'm going to go back here, and I know my position starts at 0. So I'm going to leave that. Velocity I want to be positive, so I'm just going to go ahead and start it off at 1. And I could actually even start it off at 0, and that'd be fine, because as long as acceleration is positive, it'll increase to make my velocity positive. Now down here, I'm going to think about what my acceleration needs to be. I want my velocity to increase as time goes along, so acceleration needs to be positive. I'm just going to choose positive 1 because I don't want it to increase super, super fast. So let's see what happens when I hit start. So my man is moving, time's going along, it's going slow, but I'm seeing the kind of curve that I want. Good. All right, so now what I've created that curve, which is what I wanted to see on my position graph. When I go back here, now it tells me that I need to draw the velocity graph and I need to draw the acceleration graph. The velocity graph I know is going to look something like this. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so it's a little more pronounced. Good, so my velocity graph is going uphill, which makes sense because I've got positive, well, it's above the line and it's uphill. It's positive velocity and it's increasing. So I would draw, let's see, if I was going to draw shape, I would draw something like this. Positive velocity. Now when I go back to acceleration, notice that acceleration is really super zoomed out right now. So I got to zoom in on acceleration, and I see that acceleration, there's going to be a flat line right at 1. So I go to draw, I'm going to put a flat line right at 1. All right, so that's how we do the first example. You're going to do the next 2 examples.